And they say, I don't want to stress out my child. I mean, I hear that, but here's the thing. They're stressed anyway, and waiting to start planning for applications doesn't protect your child from pressure. In fact, it just delays and defers it and usually just makes it worse. Hello, and welcome to the Admittedly podcast. My name is Thomas Caleel. I'm the former director of MBA admissions and financial aid for my alma mater, the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. In this podcast, I don't promise easy answers or quick fixes, but I will use my decades of experience to help you achieve your education goals. Now let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Admittedly podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Caleel, and today we're going to talk about something that the most successful families use as a practice, a daily practice in admissions, and it is the power of planning ahead. If you are leaving admissions to choice, if you are hoping that things will resolve themselves, if you are saying, hey, we'll deal with that later, then this episode is absolutely for you. The ability to plan ahead, to be thoughtful, to be strategic is one of the most powerful things you can do as you start from middle school into this high school journey. So if you are a freshman, sophomore, or a panicking junior, or the parent of one, this episode is for you. Grab a pen, grab paper, and let's go. We got a lot to talk about today. Hello, and welcome to the Admittedly podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Caleel, and today we're going to be talking about something that is critical if you want to be successful in the college admissions process, and that is planning ahead. If you are in 9th, 10th, 11th grade, even if you're in middle school, the ability to think ahead, to be strategic, to make intentional choices will have a dramatic and material impact on your outcomes once senior year arrives and you're putting in your applications to schools. I'm not talking about structuring every minute of your time, but I am going to walk you through why this matters, how you can use it to your advantage, and how you as a 9th, 10th, or 11th grader can really leverage planning ahead to make the most of your high school experience to reduce anxiety and enhance your outcomes. If you're new here, please hit subscribe. We're starting off a new admissions cycle, and I've got a lot for you. Okay, so let's talk about planning ahead. And before we start, because I can already hear the people coming at me in the comments, I am not advocating for you to plan out every single year, every single step of your high school career. I don't like that. I think it's detrimental. I think that it narrows you in. There's a difference between planning and over planning. And we want to draw a distinction. I have definitely met with families over my 2 decades in admissions, and some of them are like from grade school. They are just planned out every course, every activity, every minute almost of every day. And to me, that's very prescriptive. It's very limiting, right? So what we want to do here, because planning ahead is very important, right? So what I always encourage families to do is say, okay, we don't want to be junior year, and I can feel the juniors in my audience right now, and the parents kind of getting a little bit tense, and I understand that we don't be a junior year trying to figure out how we make sense of what we've done, all right? Now, there's an argument for that, and if you haven't watched Steve Jobs' speech at the Stanford commencement, go to YouTube, look it up. Great speech, great talk about how you look back on your life, you look back at the things you've done, and you see how those things have led you to where you are today. And as you're writing an essay, right, helping develop your strategy, that's a fantastic approach. It really puts things in perspective and helps you look back and think about the steps you've made. But what is powerful, what is very compelling before you get to that point is thinking ahead to where you want to be. Now, how do you do that, and why does it matter? It matters because, and I've worked with some of the smartest engineering applicants in the world to some of the top schools, nobody's invented a time machine. And what breaks my heart constantly is when families come to me and they say, hey, my child has realized they want to go to MIT. They found this program. It's amazing. and we say, great, let's look at this. And we realize there's been no intentionality of choices. They've made wrong choices to get to where they want to go in terms of course selection, in terms of extracurricular activities, in terms of summer. And that breaks my heart because I look at this student, I'm like, you have so much potential. And by making some incorrect decisions because we hadn't planned ahead with any kind of forethought, you have precluded yourself from this opportunity. And that's heartbreaking to me. So remember that college admissions rewards curiosity, consistency, and follow through. All of that takes time. So what we want to do is we want to think as we're in middle school, really, we want to start thinking about, hey, what is my child like? And if my child likes a STEM or business or any kind of math-focused discipline, we need to be heads up, and we need to be taking the hardest math classes possible. And this is really tricky, right? Because what happens is like 6th, 7th grade, you come back from summer and there's a math test. And usually students don't think about that. Parents don't really pay attention when they get the email from the school. But I just spoke with a student the other day and they were really frustrated because they didn't pay attention to that math test. They took it. They scored just under the cutoff for advanced math. Now they're in the standard track math, and their school won't let them accelerate in math now. And they're stuck on a track where if they're lucky, they might be able to take AB Calc senior year. Well, this student wants to be an engineering major, and that puts them at a significant disadvantage. So what we want to do is we want to start this early. And I can feel the people coming at me in the comments, but I'm not going to tell you what feels good. I'm going to tell you the truth of this. And if you get off track and your school won't allow you to, say, take a summer course to vault ahead a year in math, or won't allow you to take an online 4-credit course and apply that to your transcript, you're stuck and you've got real problems. So let's think about, number one, our math track, because that's very important. Next, we want to think about, okay, how are we making decisions on courses? Because rigor matters. I'm asked all the time, do I get a B in a hard class or an A in an easier class? And the answer really is you get the A in the hard class. But if you're not even in the hard class to begin with, right, or you're not positioning yourself to be in those AP or advanced classes your junior and senior year at a minimum, you're never going to win the battle of the academic rigor, and you're going to get passed by the thousands of other students who have gotten there. So I want you to plan ahead. For those of you in IB, same thing. I want you have to think ahead and be like, okay, I've got these 2 years of courses. So where am I trying to go? And this is the destination, right? What do I want to study in university? Before you come at me, I'm not saying what do you want to do for the rest of your life. But for example, with the US AP system, you have a little bit of flexibility because you're generally picking your classes every year. But for IB, you're picking your classes, that you take over 2 years. And so if you take the wrong HL classes, right? Let's say you want to go into business and your HL classes are English, biology, and physics, it's going to be really hard for you to demonstrate that academic and intellectual interest in business when other students are taking, HL economics, HL advanced physics, and HL, AA math, and really proving, hey, I can do this. So we want to make sure that we know where we're navigating towards, and keeping in mind that we can always change. Once we get to university, we can change our focus and our direction, but we do need an academic direction in high school. And remember too, that extracurricular activities now are woven through that, right? And so when we're thinking about planning ahead, we also want to be smart. So 9th graders, yes, planning ahead matters, right? We don't want to be overly planny, if that's a word, in freshman year. Freshman year, you want to explore, you want to try different things. Over the summer, you want to try things. Keep in mind that try things is not code for do 1 or 2 things and then goof off for the whole summer. If you're looking at highly selective admissions, you need to do better than that. And so what we want to do is we want to look forward to the summer and say, okay, how much time do I have? What are my opportunities? And how do I plan that to build on things that I've enjoyed freshman year and launch me into sophomore year? Now, sophomore year, we need to plan ahead. We definitely need to plan ahead on things like academic rigor and academic performance. What do I mean by that? Well, in 10th grade, when you hit sophomore year, the rigor, the difficulty of your classes increases significantly. And what I see all too often is students failing to plan ahead. And so instead of saying, hey, Thomas and everybody else I know tells me that sophomore year academics are going to be rigorous. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put some tutoring in place. I'm going to work really hard that first up to the first set of midterms. And then I can kind of adjust. If I want more tutoring, less tutoring, I can pull that back. But instead, most students rely on hope, and hope is not a strategy. And they say, well, it's okay. I'll be okay. Let's see what happens. And then they get their first couple sets of quizzes back or tests back or papers back, and they realize, oh no, I'm pulling a B, and they're heading into their midterms, and now they're scrambling. And this is not a position that you want to be in, because now you're playing catch up. You haven't been thoughtful, you haven't been proactive, and you're putting yourself in a very dangerous position, because as we've discussed in previous podcasts, many schools now are flagging you if you get 2 Bs on your transcript as an academic risk. Does that mean you can't get in? No, but it just means you made things that much harder. And the other thing I want to say too is that I talk to a lot of families who will say, well, look, we don't need to start thinking about this until like sophomore year, junior year. But here's the thing, waiting to see, because they say, I don't want to stress out my child. I mean, I hear that, but here's the thing, they're stressed anyway. And waiting to start planning for applications doesn't protect your child from pressure. In fact, it just delays and defers it, and usually just makes it worse. Because now what happens is at your end of sophomore year or you're entering junior year, and their peers, their competitors have all planned ahead. They're feeling lost. They're feeling uncertain. They feel like they don't have any kind of path. And that is very stressful for anyone. And certainly a high school student. And so what I always say to parents is, you need to have this conversation early, because one conversation can change the direction of your entire college strategy. So don't wait until junior year. Don't wait until you're almost out of time to have that conversation, right? And it doesn't need to be a big pressure conversation, like what are you doing for the rest of your life? This should be an ears open conversation. And I'm the parent of 2 high school students, and I get that this is a difficult conversation to have with your high schooler. And one of the things that we've done, and admittedly, one of the things that we've structured is part of our kind of intake process is this family action call. And the family action call, it's free, it's an hour, and one of our admissions advisors will come on and sit down with you and your child and ask them questions. And what we see over and over again are parents who are amazed that their student is actually responding in a thoughtful way and that they have clear ideas, right? Because this is not news to anybody. Teenagers don't always talk comfortably with their parents, even if I have a great relationship with my 2 children. But, there's just an awkwardness of being a teenager, right? And you're their parent, and so you have that whole fraught dynamic. So sometimes getting a third party, whether that's a trusted teacher or a coach or one of our admissions advisors, to talk to you about this gives the student the space to really kind of vocalize what's on their mind, what matters to them. And remember that this is all about asking questions. This show is brought to you by Early Edge Plus, Admittedly's flagship coaching program for high-achieving students and their families. At Admittedly, we've built a team of former admissions officers from top schools like Wharton, Duke, Stanford, Yale, Harvard, and University of Chicago. We know what actually gets students into top colleges because we've been in the room making those decisions. If you want that insider perspective, visit admittedly.co/apply. That's admittedly.co/apply to book your free family action call with one of our admissions advisors today. So I got a comment the other day on Instagram, and they said, I've got a 10th grader and they're interested in the law. What should they do this summer? And I wrote back and I said, well, it's not that easy, because what do you mean by the law? Are they interested in social justice, criminal law, corporate law, family law? What about the law are they trying to accomplish? Are they interested in taking a law degree and going into politics, for example, or advocacy, or what does that look like to them? And then once you've lasered in on that and you say, okay, well, why is that? What's your underlying fundamental interest in the criminal justice system? Do you want to prosecute people? Do you want to defend people? Why is that? What motivates you? And it allows you to really break it down. And by breaking it down, You can really kind of pull the threads apart a little bit and figure out those things that motivate your child and then help them plan out a trajectory for activities and summer activities and things that they can do that make sense. And keep in mind too, we're not saying you can't change your direction just because you've done some foresight and planning. I have worked with many, many students who have started in one direction and realized, ooh, I don't like that, right? They start off in healthcare. They want to be a surgeon like their mother. They realize they're not so into blood. They're not so into the OR, but they really like the business side or investing in healthcare technology. And now we're shifting, but we still have this same through line. And because we've planned and been thoughtful, we have a story that's happened up until this point. And now we shift and we plan forward again. And now you still have a path that you can take. Now, I will say, look, if you've made it to junior year and you haven't started thinking about applications, this is not a gentle nudge in this podcast. It's an urgent warning. If you're just kind of floating along and doing what you want, it's now, you're halfway through junior year. You've just gotten assigned your college counselor, and you need to start making some real decisions. You need to start thinking about, okay, what have I done? What am I going to do? What does senior year look like? What does this summer look like? Because the summer between junior and senior year is by far your most important summer. You cannot leave that to chance. You cannot just say, well, I don't know, let's see what happens. If you don't have a plan, if you are not already reaching out to people to figure out internships, job opportunities, research opportunities, whatever it is that fits with your particular interest, you are really, really, really hurting yourself. And again, back to this point that I hear all often with parents saying, I don't know, my child has no direction. They're not sure what they like. They're not sure what they want to do. On the one hand, we hear that, but on the other hand, again, let's go back to what I said earlier in the podcast. You need to find a neutral third party for your child to talk to, because a lot of times they're hesitant to talk to you about these things, right? Because they're afraid of being judged. They're afraid that you're going to have an opinion that's different than them. And what I can tell you too is that the other reason for doing this is that admissions officers are highly trained, and they can look at an application and understand when somebody has thrown something together at the last minute when they haven't. And when you go back and you talk to seniors, a lot of them will tell you the same thing. I really wish I would have started this earlier. I really wish I would have engaged with this sooner, because your most precious asset is time. Parents are shaking their head. Yes. High schoolers are kind of looking at me generally right now and thinking, what? That's crazy. I got nothing but time. And I know it feels like that, but the reality is these years are going to pass very, very quickly. And I don't want you getting to a point your junior year where you're very late in the process, waking up realizing I really want this program at Yale or Stanford or University of Chicago, and being like, oh, I really wish I would have taken a Chicago summer program. Oh, I really wish I would have taken a job doing this, or taken these courses, or taken a more advanced course, or I want to apply to Oxbridge, but now I realize all of a sudden I need 3 AP exam grades to do that, and it's too late. So planning ahead is going to have a major impact on you, on your outcomes, and on your enjoyment. I'm saying this again to reduce anxiety, to reduce stress. When we name anxiety, when we name things that stress us out, we gain control over them. And so being able to sit down and have an honest conversation around where am I trying to go? What matters to me? Sustainability, architecture, engineering, business, and then breaking it down from there. Business, great. What kind of business? What do you want to do with business? Do you want to work in finance? Do you want to work at a hedge fund? Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to be an AI innovator? What is it that you want to do? And then blending that directionality while staying flexible and open-minded so that we can learn and grow and adapt and adjust. That means that you're not going into sophomore year with too many activities and just doing everything that comes your way. You're more intentional. And you've heard me talk about this again and again on the podcast, on social media. Do fewer things intentionally. Don't just stack these activities. Don't just stack classes frantically. Be smart. Be aware. When you get the email from your school about choosing classes next year, have a plan. Every class needs to fit into your plan and where you're going, or you're just going along for the ride. And in highly selective admissions, you're going to be at a significant disadvantage. So freshmen, this time of year, I want you to sit down and do a thought exercise and think about, what does the next few years look like for you? Where do you want to be? When you see yourself as a senior, who do you want to be? And now, how does this map to your extracurricular activities and your summer? Give yourself some grace. As long as you're active and busy, you're doing fine. Sophomores, I want you to really think about the fact that next year is going to be even harder, and next year, junior year, is really where you have to be positioned for leadership in your extracurricular activities. You need to be taking advanced classes, really challenging yourself academically. So how do you get there? What do you need to do this summer to further explore your interests and really establish your bona fides and your credibility? If you're a junior, this is it, man. This is crunch time. You need to have a plan. You need to know where you're going. I know it seems like early decision, early action deadlines are ways off. There's only 10 months. And the Common App opens in 7 months. So we have to get this. We need to make a plan. We need to do a retrospective. We need to make a plan. If we can help you with that, if you need help with that, because I understand this is overwhelming, at Admittedly, as I said, we have free family action calls. You go to admittedly.co/apply. You can find the application link for a family action call on our website. It's free. Our admissions advisors have been trained by myself, by the former admissions officers from Ivy Plus universities. They can walk you through this. They have specific exercises they put you through. They can talk to your student, give them a neutral third party to engage with, and it really helps you start this planning process. And what's great about it is it's free. You go through it. We're providing it as a service to you because we are an education company. We believe in education first. We want to help you. And then if we think that you're a fit for us, you think that we're a fit for you, great. If not, you've gotten 60 minutes of analysis and careful thinking and frameworking that you can take and go educate yourself on your own. So what I would like to do now is say thank you to all of you who are following us on social media at AdmittedlyCo. That's at AdmittedlyCO, Instagram, TikTok, Admittedly on YouTube. Want to thank you for following us. If you aren't following us, please do, because we are generating an enormous amount of free content that is aimed at helping you and your student navigate this really stressful process. We're here for you. We have a lot of free resources and downloads available on our website, admittedly.co. That's admittedly.co. A lot of free downloads there. We want to help you be successful. I am in the comments. I am in the DMs. I love hearing from you. And I want to know, what do you think? Is planning ahead helpful? What's your experience been? What are some of the things that you're challenged by when you're thinking about, how do I plan ahead? How do I start this process? Should I try this? Should I try that? Remember that momentum matters. Getting started today, getting started right now is better than waiting for a perfect solution. Just get that momentum, get out there, try, challenge yourself. You're going to get some things right. You're going to get some things wrong. It's okay. We adjust, we adapt, and we evolve. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Please take a moment to subscribe to the Admittedly podcast and download this episode. I welcome you to share your thoughts and questions with me. You can find us on social media at Admittedly Podcast. I look forward